want to thank our sponsors, Insure123.com, helping you with all of your personal and business insurance needs. Please check them out at insur123.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tech Sheck. And as you know, we're always bringing you inspiring stories of people from Pakistan, in Pakistan, who are doing great things in the world of technology. And today, I wanted to introduce a special guest, someone who resides here in the US, but has a soft corner for something that we at Tech Sheck have a soft corner for too, and that is women in technology. And with that, I'd like to introduce Farah Ali, the co founder and chair of PWiC, Pakistan Women in Computing. Farah, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great to have you. And as we do in Tech Check style, we're going to dive right in. So, Farah, tell us a little bit about you, and then tell us a little bit about PWiC.
I'm from Karachi originally, grew up there, did my schooling there, moved to the US primarily for work. I was in Microsoft out of college, went through and moved to eBay after that, did a stint at EA after that. And now most recently, I raised VC funds to build my own company in logistics. So deep tech expertise. And I think with that, one of the things that I noticed was, like you mentioned, the lack of diversity in tech in general. And, being of Pakistani origin, being born in Pakistan, it was very important for me to sort of give a voice to, the others that I had seen growing up. And so that's kind of the idea that started PWiC.
Great. So tell us a little more about PWiC. What's your mandate?
So when we started, I actually was my co-founder Huma. She and I just met online. She had a community that she was running. I had a little Facebook group that I was running, and we both had very similar visions. And we were trying to figure out how do we take this and grow it into an organization. And so we got together and we said, okay, what's our goal? And primarily, the way that we think about Pakistani women in computing, it's to build a network and to learn and grow together, right? And so when you go in for work, when you go in for references, you have your own network that's already built. When we think about first generation immigrants or people who are coming from backgrounds where they don't necessarily have that, where's that support system? Who's there to mentor them? Where are the role models that they need to look at? And so those are like in the main themes that came up. And we said, okay, let's make this official, right? Let's come up with our goals for the organization. So we registered it as a LLC, as a 501(c)(3), so it's tax exempt. All your tax dollars are tax exempt. Contributions are tax exempt, which is very important for us.
Sure.
And then we started, thinking about how do we build this into a sustainable organization? So what's the management team going to look like? How do you come up with a board? How do you come up with a roadmap? What we do is we publish our impact report every year. So that's kind of our accountability to any of our donors and supporters to say, here's what we did. Here's how your dollars are being used. Here's the impact we've made. So that's, in a nutshell, sort of what the idea was and what we've created. PWiC also is a global organization. So even though the roots are here in the US, the model is very chapter focused. So we, and this came up because we were all meeting up for a conference. There was the largest computing conference, Grace Hopper Women in Computing. And we had women who were applying from Quetta, from Lahore, from Karachi, and we were mentoring them and helping them. And so a bunch of us were there. We decided to rent a Airbnb and just sort of camp out there and talk. And we spent, 3 days talking and sharing stories. And we just learned a lot about each other. And we also learned that, a lot of us have very different upbringings, but a lot of our obstacles are very similar. A lot of the challenges are very similar. And it was also very clear that there's no one size fits all, right? The mentorship struggle that equivalent of me has in Karachi is very different from my mentorship struggle. Getting their first job is very different, right? The kind of things that people would face on a day-to-day basis are very different. And you might need a more local context for some of those questions. And so what we have is we decided to do chapters. So there's I think we have more than 30 chapters worldwide. We have chapters in Europe, we have chapters in Pakistan and the US. And the idea is that there's a local leadership team that is very connected to the ecosystem, that is regularly serving the population, the customers, so to speak, to ask them what's top of mind, what are your issues, and building programs around that. And then we have global programs, which are we have dollars to fund conferences, scholarships. We have this job fair. We did the first ever digital job fair in Pakistan last year, and like you mentioned, Tech Sheck was sort of your inspiration to kind of do something and give back during COVID. We thought, how do we help? Like, so many people, especially women, are impacted. They're having to leave their jobs. They can't do the housework and do work as well. So how do we help them get back? And
Right.
That job fair was definitely something that's one of its kind in Pakistan. We did that in North America and Pakistan. And that's something that's more of a global program where we say, here's how we utilize our funds globally for this. There's it's going to be probably very detailed to go into all the programs, but at a high level, there's there's the mentorship focus, then there's the returnship focus, which is women, primarily women who've been out of the workforce for a while and they want to get back in. It's not very easy, and so how do they retrain and get back in? And then there's women who are currently, employed. How do we help them get to the next level? How do we provide them the tools and the ability to sort of climb the corporate ladder? Those are kind of the three areas.
Very cool. And so how does your membership work? Do people just apply?
Yeah, it's free. So it's everybody who works for us is, we're all volunteers. We don't get paid. And the way we thought about it is, we might decide to do a membership charge at some future point where we think it's needed. But really, the community that we were trying to serve, we felt that the price point doesn't make sense. They really need this help and they can't afford to pay for it, unfortunately. But what we do is, for example, with the job fair, we had sponsorship packages. So we had the companies, they were paying to be part of the program. And so, we sort of look at it as a two-sided marketplace, and then we figure out which side of the marketplace is actually in a better position. And I think what we're adding value is we're giving access to this, fantastic set of people, highly trained, diverse workforce globally, right? So there are a lot of companies out there who have this pipeline problem, and they're very willing to sort of get access to our community. And the thing that they get in return is we vet the membership really well. So when people were applying for the job fair, we had a whole process of vetting the candidates and having them apply for the jobs. We did a whole 2 weekends of sort of prepping. So interview training, how do you do a tech interview, whiteboarding, coding questions, LinkedIn resume. So there's a lot of the prep side that we do, which helps provide this higher quality pipeline, so to speak.
That's very cool. That's an awesome effort. Question. So you're all volunteers. How do you, I'm assuming you have volunteers here in the US or in Europe who are then coaching and training people in Pakistan?
Correct. So there's a central management team, right, which is again all volunteers. You have a president, and then we have the board, which is also all volunteers. The board, the first board was very US focused, and we made a very intentional choice to make it more global. So our second board is not just all US. Is actually all US because we're 501(c), but it's not all Seattle, which is what it was before.
Right.
And then there's a head of chapters that reports to the president, and then for each of the chapters there's a different head. And the way that the teams work is they get together. There's a weekly or bi-weekly, monthly cadence to some of these meetings. And essentially, there's a budget setting that we do for the year. There's a high level idea of like the type of programs you want to do and fund. And then, there's autonomy. The local team has autonomy to go use the funds as they want within those areas, and then report back, talk about impact. So it's pretty much led at the grassroots level, with the central kind of team really there to help with the larger, here's our 2021 goal. And the goals are very, outcomes based, impact based. So we want to provide X% more jobs. We want to make sure that Y%, women get internships. And so we have kind of set those kind of goals and metrics, and then we try to work towards them. So that's how it's done. It's kind of it's a centralized organization, but it's loose.
Oh, that's awesome. No, that's brilliant. Well, as you know, we try to keep these things, it's really great to learn more about what you guys are doing in your initiative. And uh, two fronts, thank you for doing it. Something very much needed, and glad that you're seeing some impact with it. On the last note, anything that the diaspora, all of us are here. Is there anything you guys are looking for support wise?
I think the main support we're always looking for is mentorship. There's a lot of women who don't really know how to plan their career or think about their career, who are maybe stuck in some middle management position and want to figure out how to break the glass ceiling. They want to move it to different disciplines, and so there's a bunch of different areas for mentorship. We actually started an official mentorship program this year as well. And so there's a way to apply and get matched to a mentee. I think that's probably the best way, where some of us who've sort of seen that can go back and be good role models, and kind of take it a step further, not just be a mentor, but be a sponsor, right? Like actively champion that person. When you have an opportunity, think about that person and connect them to that opportunity, really, really help them kind of thrive in their career. So really think of it as sponsorship rather than mentorship.
Okay. No, that's wonderful. Well, again, Farah, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks. And if anybody wants to learn more, PWiC.org. We have multiple ways that you can connect on Twitter, on Facebook, and then just join the community. It's open to all. We're very inclusive, so it's not just for women. Join the community. If you have ideas, you want to pitch, go for it. But just kind of join in and join the conversation. Thank you.
Fantastic. And to our audience out there, as you can see, we continue to bring you different stories, trying to inspire us. Tough times for all of us in the world today. So always trying to focus on the positive. And with that, thank you very much for joining us today. Please like, share, and follow us. You know where we are: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're in the social media universe. We need your support. And with that, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.